Today's scope is a very, very important topic. Hey, namaste, you guys. We're going to talk about our upcoming spring challenge in the scope, but the big topic for this scope is what is the definition of yoga? And it's kind of funny because I run this whole YouTube channel and I feel like I'm scoping and talking about yoga in my life with my friends and online and everywhere all the time. And yet I don't have a video on YouTube about what the actual definition of yoga is. And I think the definition is really personal. To give a little bit more context about how this conversation came up is that I went on a really awesome power walk with one of my close girlfriends, and she's very Christian, she's very religious. And so she was saying that she's having a little bit of trouble connecting to yoga and feeling like if she was a yoga person or not because of some of her religious beliefs, which I'm sure, we all, whether you're Jewish or Catholic or agnostic or whatever, there is this question of what's the definition of yoga and how does it sort of play into what other religion or spiritual beliefs you may have. And so again, I was like, this deserves time. This is a topic that matters. And I want to be transparent about what my definition of yoga is. But I'm going to share what my definition of yoga is that it is a science. It is a mind-body science that helps bring you back into balance so you can show up as your most authentic self. What my friend was struggling with was she was like, when I chant or am I connecting to gods or Indian deities or she had a lot of questions around that, right? And what I explained to her is that my definition of yoga is basically if you think of there's you here, and this is you at your most centered place where you're showing up, you're giving your gifts to the world, you feel fantastic, you're doing what you're meant to be doing on this planet, you are just kind of showing up as your best self, you feel aligned, you feel good, you feel great, right? That's where we want to be. And then what happens is life happens, right? Someone cuts you off in traffic and you're pissed off, and then you get a phone call about something that you didn't want to talk about, and then you're kind of unhappy, and then you get some bad news, and then someone's late to meet you, and all of a sudden instead of being in your center, you're somewhere else. You have all of these other thoughts and you're angry or distressed or have anxiety, all these things that we all suffer from, right? So what my definition of yoga is that yoga is a tool, it's a science, it's a resource that we have available to us, that when we are taken away from our purest, authentic, most beautiful selves that we all naturally are, that we have tools to come back to ourselves. And the tools we have are the physical asana practice, stretching, moving. We have the pranayama techniques, breathing techniques, to bring us back to center. My favorite definition of meditation from one of my teachers, centering ourselves, yes, is she'd explain meditation as taking out the garbage, right? So instead of thinking about how you're pissed that person cut you off and worrying about the future and thinking about the past, when you meditate, you're able to it's taking out the garbage of your mind, and you're just coming back to the present moment. And to me, the present moment isn't just the present moment. It's about being fully yourself, feeling fully aligned, fully yourself. So the definition of yoga for me is that yoga is a toolkit that helps you show up as your highest self for yourself and for your community and for your family. From that centered place, then you have the choice. You can connect with God if, if you see yourself you're in God's image, regardless of what I think a lot of religions, right? It's you are in God's image. So I just to, instead of thinking about yoga as something that connects you from you to universal consciousness or you to God or whatever, I think it does that too. But for me, the more interesting definition is just yoga brings you back to your center so that you can even start making those up connections, right? Because so often life just pulls us out or away from ourselves, and all of a sudden we're talking or we're acting not from our authentic place. We're reacting, right? If you find chanting as a tool that is helpful to bring you back to your most centered place, it's do it, right? But if it brings up connotations for you of religion or a more systematic approach, don't do it, right? I feel it complicates it. But at the to me, being a yogi is being a conscious human being. It's like being someone who wants to show up as their best self and has a practice in order to get them there. And with that definition, like a lot of people ask me if my husband does yoga with me. He doesn't do like traditional yoga asana like I do, but he has his own practice of like running and being in nature that helps him come back and connect to his most authentic self. So like, is he a yogi or is he not a yogi, right? Like, I'm so not interested in the definition of like yogi versus not yogi. It's just like, if you're a conscious human being and you have a practice that is like you actively taking care of yourself so you can show up as your best self, and heart the screen if you agree, then I consider that like yogic. I consider that yoga. I consider anything that you do to center yourself, whether it's meditation or chanting. And it's like, the great news is yoga has a lot of different tools and you can pick and choose the ones that you like. Like maybe you love meditating and maybe you love doing the physical asana practice. What can I say about the power of yoga? This is the power of yoga. It's that it lets you feel authentic and aligned in your life anytime you want to. You have like, so if you're feeling upset or if you're feeling pissed off or if you're feeling angry, instead of hanging out in that emotion, you have the option to come back to feeling centered, to feeling present, to feeling like your best self. Like that is the best gift and the best tool that exists. So my definition of yoga is actually quite loose, right? Like if you get up and like how you need to center yourself that day is like taking 10 minutes to center yourself, exactly, Rebecca, or going to dance class. Like dance class isn't technically yoga, but like if that's how I need to move that day to come into center and feel good, like I've done my practice. And this comes back to like the biggest thing that I'm trying to teach is to have your own personal practice. Your own personal practice, whether it involves getting into nature, doing a combination of stretching and yoga. Personalize your practice, you guys. I feel like I say this in YouTube videos and I hope it's really clear. Drink green tea. Look what I got right here. I got my green tea right here. You want to have a practice that's personalized for you. I was teaching class last night and I was teaching this cool like reverse warrior to easy twist, awesome flow. And there was a guy in my class and I could see he came into reverse warrior and he had this little look on his face and he was like, I could tell he was like, it was like stretching him so well right here. But then I was teaching and so he then came into like easy twist and followed us. And the next time we did that sequence on the other side, I said very proactively, I was like, if there's a pose that feels good, stay in it. Like I say when I teach in my in-person classes, and I hope I say it on YouTube, like you don't need to do everything I'm saying. Like if there's a pose that feels good to you, stay in it. And it was so awesome because the next time we came to reverse warrior on the other side, he stayed in it for like 3 or 4 extra breaths. And he felt, thank you for sharing with your followers, Rebecca. And I could see his little face just lit up because like for him, he needed to like open that side of the body. So he should take an extra breath, a couple breaths there. And like that's ultimately what I'm teaching, what I want to be teaching is for like you guys to know how to listen to your bodies and have your own personal practice that you can modify at any time, whether that means modifying the yoga asanas to like better, for him, to better like, because that's like the first step. All of a sudden he's like, okay, my side body's tight. Okay, like maybe I should try doing more yoga poses that open the side body, and instead of focusing on like chaturangas or how to do handstand, I should really focus on like how I can open this area. And he gets really curious and then he develops a personal practice around that. So the first step is us becoming aware so that we can have a personal practice, and that personal practice can be getting into nature, modifying yoga asanas, only doing certain yoga asanas, you name it. I just felt like this definition and this concept was something that I really wanted to share with you guys. So heart it up if you like this little chat. Let me know in the comments. Type me in a comment like what you think your definition of yoga is. If you liked my definition, welcome Clara. My other quick announcement is that our spring detox challenge, I'm putting the sign up and the promo video for that shortly. If you're already on my email list and you already get my emails, you don't need to like also sign up for the spring challenge. I'm gonna automatically be sending it out. It starts April 18th. And a very exciting announcement that I also wanted to share is that I got a company, a really awesome yoga company called Yogi Surprise, to help co-sponsor the challenge, which means that I was able to hire a professional camera guy for the first time ever to film this whole series of videos with me. So the video quality is just like way higher than anything I've ever put out on YouTube. It's very, very, very exciting. But yeah, so I just did want to share that with you guys, and I'm really excited. The video quality is so much higher than anything I could have produced without a little bit of their financial support. It was awesome. I got to like hire my favorite camera guy, bring him in here, have 2 camera angles, like 6 lights. You guys are going to see the videos are like super, super beautiful. So many hearts are coming in. Oh my God, I love you all so much. Thank you for your support, your encouragement, for hanging out with me.